Well, all right. Welcome back to the Quiet Fight. I am Dylan.
I'm Chris.
I'm Jason.
Darren.
Episode 12, we got Darren Anderson on. We are super excited for having you. What do you guys have to say?
Yeah, this has been something ever since we started the podcast. I know Love My Mind followed us pretty early on, and that's the first time that I got to see what that program was about. So it's always been in the back of my mind to get you on here and to talk about that, because you guys have done incredible things. Your story's incredible. You are incredible. The things you're doing, the things that you're a part of have just been incredible, especially in Saskatoon, small town Saskatoon. So yeah, I'm very excited to speak with you, learn a little bit more, because mostly everything I've learned has been from online.
Yeah.
So,
And just like winging it, like when we saw your Instagram, I remember looking through it, and we're just so new at everything and kind of learning and meeting people in the community and stuff. And I was like, I want to do what these guys are doing. Like, they're just doing something so positive, and I don't know, it's just inspirational, right?
Yeah,
Kudos to her Instagram goes to my wife, Krista. I can't take anything on that one.
Well, I want to be like her then.
Yeah.
I think you and I chatted inside there for a little bit, and I think it's pretty clear that your heart's in the right place, and you're doing a lot in the community. So I know we're all excited to have you on the show here. So yeah, it's going to be a good one.
The thing with that, and I appreciate that, everything you guys have said, and I reciprocate with what you guys, now following you guys, and then you did the interview with our oldest boy, Zach, and so I love it because it's what you're doing is just, it's not scripted, it's real.
Yeah.
It's just, you're doing what you're doing and you're having valuable conversations. And for me, with Love My Mind, it was a grieving tool. I had no idea what Love My Mind was going to be or what I wanted it to be for probably a year.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to that time of in 2018, so it's crazy to think it's been 7 years, when we lost my brother Mark, my older brother, who is about 9 years older than myself.
Yep.
Looking back at that moment, which obviously for any family would be so tragic, like a parent losing a child should never happen. But with Mark, there was flags. There was like I mentioned to you guys before, that the drinking was evident, but that's where, for us looking at it, that's where it stopped. Because in 2018, we didn't talk about mental health.
Yeah.
I know that seems crazy that it's not too long ago, but it was still snap out of it, figure your shit out, rub some dirt on it. Those were the conversations I would have with my brother, and me and my brother were very close.
Yeah.
So, but also that closeness started to have some wedges driven in between it, because I would challenge him to get support. And like I mentioned to you, Chris, like back then the support wasn't there.
No.
It was Band-Aids everywhere. It was wait times, and we just didn't have that clear path to getting him healthy.
It was more like treating the symptom than treating the actual problem, essentially. Yeah.
Was there I know you said it's like rub some dirt on it, and you had some conversations with your brother. At any point did you have like a fear of maybe going too hard at him, in fear of like retaliation of him, like, not asking for help at any point in the future or anything? And I'm coming from that at the perspective of my experience, because I know when in speaking with my family, when I was actively in alcoholism, like my parents essentially told me that they knew I had a drinking problem, but they were scared to approach me about it because of how I would react. Was that ever in your mind or anything like that?
Not really, because it was that, like, honestly, I loved my brother. He was always like, him and my mom were my heroes.
Right.
And I wanted my brother back. And in 2015, when we lost my father to Alzheimer's, that's when we really saw the spiraling effect occur more strongly with Mark. And but he wasn't he wasn't being accountable for what was going on in his life. And that's where I really started to lean on him harder. And I remember one Christmas, shortly after losing Dad, where I challenged him because I basically confronted him, "You're losing your business."
Yeah.
And I could see it. And our whole family's in the living room, and we started going at it, and he walked out.
Back then, like you said, there wasn't a lot of, I guess, specialized support that really understood that there's underlying issues. Do you feel like back then you guys focused a lot on the alcoholism and not the mental health side of things? Is that...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Mom mentioned later on that Mark was taking medications, antidepressants and that. But in my mind, at that time, I think everyone was taking antidepressants. But there was no strategy behind it. It was like, "Oh, take these.
Right.
You'll feel better." And
yeah.
But what I started to realize is that after the fact was the alcohol was brought in because of the depression.
Yep.
Because Mark had childhood trauma that he didn't deal with, or he was incapable of dealing with it, and was not using his voice in that manner. But he was probably one of the most outgoing people that I've ever met. He would do anything for anyone. When your car didn't start at 3 a.m. leaving the pad in minus 40 weather, my friends would call my brother.
Oh yeah. He's just that guy.
He was that guy.
Yeah.
So he was always the father figure to everyone, including myself, but all my friends. Everyone loved him. His nickname was Chuck. And he's just like, he had this crazy infectious laugh. So when that day occurred in November of 2018, it shocked everyone. Like, not only us, but everyone's just like, how could this happen? This guy was the happiest guy I've ever met. Like, he was Chuck.
Right.
Like, what are we gonna do? Like, no one could understand it. It wasn't about grieving and processing it. They just couldn't understand how and the why. And the way it happened when he took his own life was tough to understand. I really feel that these men and women that are struggling and that have taken their own lives, unfortunately, they do have a plan. And my brother definitely had a plan. We didn't see it. After the fact, we saw exactly. Like, to be quite honest, he used a shotgun that my dad gave him as a birthday present on his, for his first gun to hunt with.
Right.
And it was just, I think about that day every day of my life.
Well, it's confusing. It's a confusing thing. I've talked about on the show before. My stepdad killed himself when I was 16. He wasn't a great dad, but it was still jarring. It was such a jarring experience. He was our provider, and everything just changed, and you kind of, it's just, everything's weird. Like, you don't understand. You can't even fathom it. You can't fathom what's going on in their, or what was going on in their head to do this. And you start questioning yourself. Is there anything I could have done? Like, there's lots of stuff there, and that's a
good point, Chris, is that the shouldering, like, my mom would come to me and say, what could we have done different? And I said, I don't think we could have. I think we could have delayed it, but it was going to happen regardless.
Yeah. He kind of just made that choice, right? Like,
he did. And he had a brand new grandson with his daughter, like Ashley and Chris had their first son together, which is Mark's grandson. And we thought that might be the fork in the road of, like, oh, I need to be with my grandson. And that really showed me that the pain was so strong. The mental health aspect just consumed your conscious thoughts, and it's self-doubt, it's self-worth, and it's like, they would be better off without me. And that, I think that still stands true. It's a horrible.
Yeah. And the worst part about that thought is it's wrong.
It is wrong.
It's wrong, right? Like, we're not better
Yeah.
without them.
So
And
around the time that this happened, just for how he was around people, did you find that? Because I find with a lot of these stories that are similar, the person, our loved one, they're either really out in the community and they're very loud, or they're extremely isolated. Was there an extreme difference there, or?
It's a good point. He actually became more and more recluse as the time went on, where he would come to golf tournaments with us. He would come to events that our marketing company was putting on. So he was out in the community, because he was a big networker. He was kind of a schmoozer. Like,
Yep.
I remember,
because he was an entrepreneur, right?
He was,
Yeah.
and I remember the closing time at the Pad and Bailey's, and every time I was when you go do your cleanup, his business cards were fucking everywhere. I'm oh, he's handing out business cards, putting drinks on my tab. That was my brother.
Yeah.
And everyone they loved him. And I knew, though, the moment when it happened, the big thing that hit me was I was the last male standing in my family. And it was my job now to take care of my family. I remember becoming very stoic, losing a lot of my emotion, and it was just plodding along and just being the glue for my family. And that was, for me, wow, this male stigma is real.
Yeah.
And that was my number one job.
So can we talk about that? Maybe your recovery, after, what did life look like for you afterwards with adjusting to that, and having that feeling of, now this falls on me, I'm the one that's got to make sure everyone's going to be okay. What did your recovery look like after that?
The recovery was interesting because, first off, we had to get through Christmas, and I wanted that to happen for my family. And then in January, a very good friend of mine, who actually was the one that received my brother's suicide note without even knowing it, and it was done through text nowadays, as per usual, and with people communicating, he said we should go out west and visit our other good friend who was coached hockey out there in Penticton. And that, I still feel, was the game changer for me, because I wasn't processing it up until that point for the first 2 months. I wasn't dealing with it. I wasn't grieving. And I needed to get away. So we went out there, and it was so good to see Jason and just be in a different environment. But honest to God, you guys, when I got out there, the emotion erupted.
Right.
I bawled, and I talked about it. It wasn't like I was holding it in. I was ready to talk because I trusted everyone around me. And it was just and when I mean, I was sobbing.
Yeah.
My brother's my best friend, my hero, and we were out there for probably 7 days, and it was the best. It was just pure therapy. Coming home, I was in such a better mindset. And now my corporate brain takes over and said, the system's fucked. There's nothing going on to help people. I'm going to use my platform, and of course, the way we think sometimes is I'm going to fix the world.
Yep.
And I'm
That's the entrepreneur.
Yeah, exactly. And Chris is slow down. But I went to my team, and we talked about it, and they all understood the mental health aspect. And we came up with, when mental health takes over one's mind, are we capable anymore of loving our mind and making good decisions for ourselves? And we thought, no. So that's where we came up with Love My Mind. And even in the design, with the word mind, it goes from light to dark, and the D's in dark, and then the half heart surrounds the darkness. So that's how we built and designed our brand, and got everything in place, built our website, and next thing you know, we're like, okay, now what? And then, as I mentioned before, Kevin O'Leary comes through Saskatoon, makes a stop and on his campaign expense tour, and his best friend, he lost his best friend to suicide. And in every stop, he had to pick a beneficiary and donate proceeds of the ticket sales. So la-di-da-da-da. And great guy, though. Like, I got to say that, like, he positions himself, or he gets positioned as the villain on TV,
sure.
but he's such a good dude.
That's
Very
his brand.
smart.
That's his brand, right?
So, great event. A couple months go by, and I get this text from his handler and says, "Did you see what Kevin donated to Love My Mind?" I'm like, "No." And I'm in a boardroom with people, thank God, that I knew, and she goes, "He donated $32,000.
Oh my God.
And then, of course, I started crying, because I'm just like, this is insane. Like, this isn't.
So was this before you guys started like fundraising, or was
This was we haven't even started fundraising.
Wow.
We spoke at TCU Place amongst Kevin. Me and my sister did, and we talked about a little bit of our story. And there was 700 people there. It was the most draining experience of my life.
Yeah.
So I told Ashley, my niece, Mark's daughter, I said, Kevin O'Leary just donated $32,000, and then we had an anonymous $10,000 donation at the event. And her first words were like, "That's amazing. Now what?" And I'm like, "I don't know. We have like this money. Like, what do we do?" So I thought it was going to be me going and speaking and telling my story in front of like kids and at schools and businesses and that. And I really stepped into that role, and it started to consume me. And I remember one Sunday afternoon, I was actually supposed to speak at a high school with Brad Sorosky, who's one of our first counselors. He's an addiction mental health counselor. Probably one of the best speakers in Saskatchewan now. Like, he's amazing. And I had a breakdown. Sunday morning, I'm like, getting ready to go golfing. It's a beautiful day like today. And I just flicked a switch.
Mm-hmm.
Krista was not at home, and I called her, and she came back right away. And again, it was just one of those moments of it was a wave of emotion, but in a different sense. It wasn't about my brother anymore. It was about what was going on in my mind, in my body. And she goes, "Enough. You're not gonna save the world. Your job isn't gonna save the world. Your job isn't going to be able to speak to people. That's Brad's job. You're going to use your network. You're going to use what you do in business to make this work. Surround yourself with the right people, and this needs to stop now."
Yeah.
And she said, "Because I need you in my life for a long time." And she was right. I was starting that spiraling. And I didn't even know what was happening. It was scary shit. And I made the call to Brad and the principal at the high school, and I said, "I can't speak on Tuesday. Brad's going to speak." And they go, "Good." They totally saw it. They knew exactly.
Lots of people were aware. How much pressure,
they were aware.
yeah.
They just didn't want to like step in, because
Same what you were kind of saying.
when we're driven, and you guys know it for what you've done with the amazing things you're doing, is like they're just like, I don't want to impede on this guy. Like, he's on fire.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, someone needed to, and thank God Krista did.
Yeah.
And from that moment on, I knew exactly what the game plan was for Love My Mind. Was go out and get sponsorship, go out and recruit counselors, nutritionists, fitness coaches, sleep deprivation counselors, like anything to do with our mental state and our bodies, and bring them into our little village of Love My Mind. And that's what we did. And then we were able to go and help the girls from Evolve get going with their private business, Brad Sorosky and Kristen Smith. And so the business side really took over with the Love My Mind side. And as Shannon from Evolve will always say, you created a beautiful monster without even really knowing what you wanted it or needed it to be. So it's been crazy to think back. Like, we're almost at the $1 million mark for donating back resources, funds, swag back into the community for something that started off as just a complete grieving tool for my family.
Yeah.
If Love My Mind doesn't happen, I don't know where I am health-wise today. And now it's known all across Canada from what we can understand. So it's pretty surreal. And sometimes we forget, and you guys will understand this too, we got to give ourselves a pat on the back. We got to accept the accolades, because really we don't get paid for it. We've done it for free, but we've done it out of the goodness of our heart, and we've done it because something has happened in our life, and we chose to make it better.
I like to say this all the time, that when to myself, when I'm going through something that's like hard or something bad has happened in my life, I like to remind myself that, you know, good things can come from bad things sometimes, right? And I think this is a perfect example of that, right? Like, obviously, losing your brother is a bad thing, but you were able to turn something good out of that, and be able to help the community and help other people that are struggling with this, you know, similar stuff that your brother struggled with, you're struggling with, and other people, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I remember, sorry, Dylan, everything just kind of pops into my mind because it's like,
No,
but I
it's
remember
good.
the first, when people started reaching out, I remember the first person, and it's usually mums. We'll get that out there. Mums are the ones that are always reaching out on behalf of their kids, their brothers, their significant other, anyone. And it was a daughter that was in university, and she was struggling. She was very active, out and about, and then all of a sudden she's in her room, and she's, again, very recluse, and her mom was worried, and you could feel it in her voice. Like, so first of all, how do we get help for her daughter, but how do we get help for you too? Because we got to take care of mom. So after hearing her story, I thought, and this is exactly how Love My Mind started to evolve with when people did reach out, is that I would think in my mind, who's the best counselor in our portfolio, so to speak, for this situation? And then I would say, I'm going to give you this number, this person. I'll let them know that you're going to call, and this is going to get you on the right path. And in that case, she was a single mom, so she didn't have any benefits. She didn't have the funds. I said, we're going to take care of the treatment. Mind you, the counselor that we chose for her, she took care of half the treatments. So that's, again, think about that. Like, this is their money maker, but this is the way our counselors think. 2 months later, I get a text from the mom. Thank you. You saved our lives. That was a little much for me to. I'm like, well, it wasn't me. It was the person that I sent you to.
And even further, it was mom reaching out.
Exactly.
You know what I mean, like, that's not easy. That's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
And then last year at the Mental Health Classic, the first one, I'm at our booth, and I could see this lady. She was kind of going back and forth. Now this is 3 years later, and then once she saw that I was alone, it was the mom, and she goes, I saw you here. We were here watching our other family members partake, and I wanted to come over and give you a hug. And it's just like fucking goosh. And we're hugging, and then Logan Harlan was beside me. He's like, oh my God, there goes Darren making everyone cry again. But I'll never forget that one because it was the first one. And again, Krista steps in and goes, if you do nothing else with Love My Mind, it doesn't matter because you just did it.
Yep.
Yeah. I think like if I look as if we can help one person with doing our shows, you know, I mean, like, to me, that's a success.
It is.
And I think, you know, you guys talked about it.
Well, just how many people have reached out. Like, we're only 12 episodes in. You know, we're trying to produce positive content on our social media about awareness and providing people the resources such as Love My Mind or whatever. And we've had people reach out being like, love the podcast, or I love the message that you guys are trying to get across, and all that. So when we're out in the community and people come up to us and say, hey, I listened to this episode, you guys are doing great things, I've referred this to this person and this person because I think they need it, like, you feel that in your heart.
Yeah.
You know, like,
you're making a difference, and that's like,
and you guys are, and you have to give yourself, again, those accolades, that it's not just about striving for more or always going with, which is great, but you got to be able to step back and step out and say, wow, like, we're doing good things here.
Yeah.
And give yourself that pat on the back.
Those little micro wins, because like,
it's a big
I'm
thing.
an entrepreneur as well, and so like I have that like drive to always like next level, and sometimes I need to take a step back and just be like, look, we're doing great things right now, right? And so
So it's it's been quite the journey. Now we're like 7 years into it, and we've pivoted. Like, last summer we made a change that we didn't carry, like, running our online store, because we started doing our own apparel, which was very successful. We were sending stuff all over the world.
yeah,
But it was a lot of work, and being at events was a lot of work, like setting up a table, as you guys know, and having your apparel there, and then speaking at the event. So it's like 2 or 3 days of a weekend. So I went to our directors and I said, I need some more support here based on how our brand is growing. And they were unable to provide that, which was fine. So I just said, we're going to continue to do swag, but we're going to collaborate with other events and businesses, and we're going to make them partner with us so they can take care of it, like the boys at the Men's Network with Brotherhood of Belonging. And so that was a great step. So it just took a lot of time off my plate, but we're still achieving the same objective of, like, getting the message out there through apparel, like you guys do. And so we just work smarter, not harder. Again, the entrepreneurial side said, and we really focused, you guys, on specific programs and specific events, like the Men's Network, which is now going into its 4th series. Huge success, very close to my heart, because I truly believe my brother could have benefited from this program.
Is the Men's Network, like, in the Brotherhood of Belonging, is that a part of Love My Mind, like an umbrella kind of thing, or is that a separate thing?
Well, that is, it started off as like a subsidiary of Love My Mind, because when I met Logan through the Girls that Evolve, he was just getting into, I think he was still a student counselor, Logan Harland, and he had this idea. He goes, Darren, I have this idea for a men's support network. And I said, do you think men are ready to talk? So this is 3 years ago. And every spring now we have a memorial golf tournament up at Jackfish for my brother. And going back 2 years now, we had a moment where 2 of the guys attending, there's 20 guys at this event, and we talk about sports, girls, well, I guess ex-girlfriends now, and it was like pretty stereotyped conversations for dudes at a golf tournament with drinks.
Yeah, beef jerky, riverboat gambling.
Exactly. Yeah. And I brought a couple of our sweatshirts that had strong was the word we used on it, because 2 of my friends were going through divorces at the same time, and these were divorces that they obviously struggled with, they felt blindsided, and they were dealing with. So at the end of, like, the dinner and that, after golf, I presented to them, and they both spoke, and they were very emotional with their words. And that moment, and the cool thing is Brad Sorosky's on the other side of the table, so we have a mental health counselor there. After they spoke, there was a lot of hugs and there were some tears. 2 other guys, and it wasn't the usual suspects, it was the least likely in my mind, got up and told their story. And I looked over at Brad. He goes, I've never seen anything fucking like this before. This is absolutely amazing, Darren. I go back to Saskatoon. We're into the fall now, and I invite Logan to watch one of the Blades games when my oldest was drafted by the Blades. And we're talking, and I said, the reason I brought you here is that your concept is ready to be launched. And Love My Mind's going to fund this.
Yeah, men are ready to talk.
Men are ready to talk.
I was just going to say, are men ready to talk? Yeah.
So the next May, we started it at Evolve. We got food. We had speakers. We just used our social channels to get it out, and we wanted like 20-25 guys. So the second one I spoke at, and there was men from different age groups, different cultures, different stories, different backgrounds, and I'd never seen anything like that before in my life. Guys were speaking, guys were listening, guys were hugging, guys were coming together and becoming friends. Logan facilitated it. DJ McGrath came and spoke. We had did some Reiki, we did some breath work. We had all these sessions. So session number 6 sessions later, huge success. And then the guys are like, now what? And Logan's like, Darren, we can't stop. I said, no, we're not going to stop. We need more resources. We need more people.
No.
So Brian White, who was part of the group that I was at the first time, he started getting into the mental health space more and became a facilitator. And then this thing has just grown into, now it's 4 series. So we've funded the entire thing. And when I say we, this is when our partners come in, like Joe and Jen at Precision Auto Body, Kevin Kaminsky from Killer Hockey, who's an ex-Blade. Everyone loves Killer. Vinny Zadok from Maxie's Excavating, who's a good friend of my brother's.
Yep.
They just stepped up and they said, we love what you're doing. We know it's working and it has to continue. So here.
This is the crazy thing is I before the show started, right, I asked you the question about sponsors, and I said, because we're in the stage of looking for sponsors, we're starting that kind of process, and I asked him, like, so the sponsors that you get, are they doing it just because they love the cause and they're very, they love doing this, or are you providing them with some value? And it's like, look, these people just want to help. Like they got massive hearts, and
care.
they just want to help. You know what I mean? And that's huge.
It is huge. And now, Chris, it's like, and we're speaking about this at the perfect timing. So we've had, in the last few months, we had a family we met at a PA, a Prince Albert event, that lost their son to mental health. They started a car show and cruise night in Prince Albert in memory of their son. This year, they raised a bunch of money and donated to Love My Mind. There's another group out by Kenniston. They have this festival called the Hillbilly Boogie.
That sounds fun.
Brad Sorosky speaks at it. They raise money and they donate it back to Love My Mind. We have a bunch of car enthusiasts. They have this event called the Red Line Run, and they go out west, and they've made Love My Mind their beneficiary. And then we do our fall online auction every fall. It's our 6th annual. It's coming up in October on the 17th. So we raise money that way too. So it's not always about the large corporations that can cut the big check. It's great, obviously, like, don't get me wrong, but it's these other people that are stepping up, these other businesses, other organizations that are now coming together and saying, we're going to do this for mental health, and then we're going to give a kickback. They're going to take care of their own people, but then there's the subsidiary kickback to an organization like Love My Mind.
Yeah.
And this, I've never seen it stronger than it is right now. It's actually, it's overwhelming at times to see the generosity out there, the hard work of people trying to make a difference in the ways that they can contribute.
Yeah. It's pretty cool that, like, right, small businesses run the economy, and then we have small businesses are big supporters of mental health.
Yeah.
Right, especially in Saskatoon.
Yeah.
And I was not aware that most of the collaborations and sponsorships that you've been a part of was small business, and the names that you were throwing out, like, I know what that business is. I've heard of them before.
Yeah.
And they don't need less things. Like they're recognizable in the community, and they don't need the exposure. They're doing it because they genuinely care about the cause, which I think is.
Man, I was just listening to you name off these businesses, and I was like, we need to shout them out more and support them, right? Like,
they do, and they're so, like, selfless in that way, is that they just want to see the good still happening. They don't need the accolades, even though we give it to them. We put it on their website and our banners and so forth, and it's just amazing to see. And then we turn around and then we collaborate with DJ and the 3-on-3 Mental Health Classic. We collaborate with the Candle Lake Fun Run, which is on tomorrow, and they're on their fourth one now, and they've raised about $50,000 for every event. Like, they're closing in on the $200,000 mark, and then they allot it to organizations in need as well.
I think these guys here, their ears kind of twinkled a little bit when he said fun run, hey?
Oh, man. I'm all about the running.
We're doing a mental health run.
We're doing the 3-2-1 go running.
Oh, good.
Like the Step Up for Mental Health next weekend. We got the Quiet Fight team in, and
awesome.
We're going to do it. So I've been a pretty big advocate. Like,
yeah, you're a big runner, aren't you?
Yeah, this year, I've been a huge advocate for running to clear your mind and using it as a therapeutic tool and stuff. So
that's like Jay. Like, you never used to run before.
No, I had a bum ankle, so I just never did anymore.
Yeah.
But taking it up now, it certainly helps. Sometimes it's hard to get out there. But I just want to comment, like, I've been a spectator mostly for this session, and it's because I'm just listening to you talk, and your story is so powerful, and I'm so proud that there's people like you out there. Like, I wish there was something like this earlier on in my career and life to help me not be where I am right now. So it's kind of bringing me to tears. So thank you for coming on the show, and thank you for doing what you're doing. And I'm sorry I'm not much of a participant today, but I just love listening to you talk.
Yeah, like, this is the third time I've met you. The first time I met you was at the Mental Health Classic, and my first impressions were how compassionate you were. And you and me had a brief chat, and you asked me about what is the Quiet Fight, and then I kind of asked you what your backstory was, and you opened up with me with just pure honesty and just in heart, and I just knew that how authentic of a person you were. But that goes back to a question that I want to go into.
Yep.
This has nothing to do with anything other than the topic that we've been talking about. So you have this tragic event in your life, and you do all these great things, right? And to use the analogy, right, like the phoenix rises from the ash, right? Like that kind of thing. But for your own mental health, looking back, Darren, how were you prior to the event and then after? And what I'm asking is, in terms of, like, were you very open person prior to that? Did you have anybody to speak with? And if you did, how comfortable, and, like, what was your social circle like with being able to open up? Or was it limited, or was it big? Or
that is a great question. That actually, for encompassing my life, that's actually the $1 million question for me, because I've always, with being in marketing and being a U of S guy, commerce degree, and always, like, positioning myself in the limelight And like I mentioned to Chris, like in the 90s, I managed the Pat Hotel, which was the place to go for everyone.
Yep.
Not only athletes and that, but everyone went there. And then we had Bailey's on 8th Street in the 2000s, and a lot of that stemmed from my brother, as I always wanted to take care of people. And even people that I didn't even really know. So growing up, I wasn't very about saying I love you. I didn't show a lot of emotion. I was very business orientated and like just go, like crazy eclectic mind. And the shit that I came up with over the years on the business side was, my mom always used to laugh. She's just like, yeah, I don't know what goes on in that mind of yours. So, and in those days, you didn't stop to even think about mental health. We didn't talk about mental health.
We weren't really allowed to
No.
talk about mental health.
My dad was a NHL hockey player. Like he was a tough dude.
He's
And
like, stop being a pussy. Like that's
Yeah,
how I was.
legit, man.
That's
Like-
how I was talked to, right? Like,
it was just a different world. And then, but also with that said, I struggled with my relationships because I didn't give back to my relationship. It was always about taking care of these people that I didn't know and forgetting about the person next to me that is there to care with me. And I was just like, so relationship gone, and losing Mark. And then within 2 months, Krista comes into my life. Unexpected. Wasn't even like thinking like we all do, because now it's online dating, and online dating is a spectacle at best. And I had a mutual friend that said, I have a girl that I want you to take out. She's going through her own stuff, and she just needs a good guy to hang out with. And I said, what's the catch? Sends a picture, said, send me a picture, like any guy would say. And she's like,
yeah.
so she's a knockout. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And no expectations going into this. First date, 4 hours long. And like you said, Dylan, I instantly felt safe around her and comfortable, and there was a trust. And we both reciprocated with our own story that was going on at the exact same time. And without her and Love My Mind, I definitely wouldn't be the person I am today.
Yep.
She taught me how to love. And when I say love, like love with like a whole heart and genuine in nature, and put people before me in a genuine sense, not trying to impress, but genuine care, and being more emotional and intentional with my words. Like and I've said this before, she saved my life. Love My Mind saved my life, because I honestly don't know. And again, you can sit back and hypothetically piece together your future or what could have happened, but
Yeah.
I know for a fact that
you probably know this, and even if you don't know it, I think part of you probably does, but I think, and you should hear it, is that what you're doing is also saving other people's lives. And I just want you to know that, because you being vulnerable is pretty special. Like being able to talk about it and go on a podcast or go do what you do and talk about the traumas and stuff. It's not an easy thing to do, and that takes a lot of courage. And
well, thank you for saying that. It's been, I think about like my brother and my dad every day. And then back in July, we lost my mom. My mom was, again, my hero. And she had a great life, though. She was old. Like that one, losing mom, I feel, was even more of a blessing. I know she was ready to go and be with Mark and Dad, and she told us, but all 5'1" of her, she was the glue of our family. And but she's also like, she gave me fuel. She gave me energy to continue on, like, and I never felt forced or obligated. And those are key words.
Yeah.
I didn't feel forced because my brother took his own life and my dad passed and my mom passed. I just do it out of out of true passion and wanting to. I have the ability. I have a great job. I have a great family. I have a great life. I have the ability, and I have a massive network. So I'm using it. Like, it's like when athletes use their platform for the better. That's exactly what
100%,
we're doing.
100%.
We're using our platform. And it's amazing. Like, I'm sometimes at a loss for words. It's just, I sit back on some days in like a beautiful patio backyard like this at home and pour myself a Grey Goose on ice and sit there and just like, wow, this is unbelievable.
Yep.
What we're doing here.
Yep.
And I say we because it's like partnering with guys like you and DJ McGrath and Logan Harlan and Brad Sorosky and the ladies that Evolve and Kevin O'Leary and Killer Kaminsky. Like, we see all the bad that's going on, which we definitely saw in the last few days, and it seems to continue, but boy, there's a lot of good going on too. And I think we need to focus on the amazing people and the good that's going on.
Well, back to your point about, like, you know, you wanting to change the world and you know, we can't do it on our own. Like, I can't change the world, right? But we can change the world, right? And I think that's what we're doing.
Well, I think the thing that you're saying is thank you for coming on the show and being vulnerable with us.
Yeah.
Because that's the big thing about what this podcast was, is men don't know how to talk. We don't know how to talk about our feelings. Like, I don't know how, like, it's been a rough couple weeks that I've experienced personally, and you know what, prior to getting the help doing the podcast, I don't know how I would have took it. Like, I'd probably be still drinking. Maybe I'd be drinking myself to death. I don't know, but how much vulnerability that I've been able to show and be comfortable with has changed my life. Like, I don't know how many times this week, Jason, I've told you I love you.
Yeah.
No, like, actually,
Yeah.
I've told you that several times. I love you, man. Right?
Me
And
too.
there's been times where I know Jason's going through something and I just want to fucking hug him. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would have
I do.
never done that before, man.
Well, I think
like just hugging itself. I was never that dude. It was like, yeah, fist bump me. And I've had people within the last month, you know, that I've seen that have known me for a long time, and it's like, hey, long time no see. How are you doing? And they go in for a fist bump because they know that I was very uncomfortable with man-on-man physical contact of any kind to show emotion. And I'm like, no, man. Like, fucking bring it in here. And I'm giving them hugs, right?
Yeah.
And that's what this is about. And I'm getting emotional talking about this, dude. Like,
that's because, like, words are powerful.
Oh,
Words are powerful. And when you say things like I love you and mean it, that's a big deal, right? But the same thing on the flip side is, like, when you say things like man up or don't be a pussy, it means something, right? And in my opinion, one of the reasons why we're doing this as well is because we kind of trying to change that stigma. And I know in my own personal life, I'm also saying that stuff more, like saying I love you and checking in with my friends more. And but on the other side of things, I'm also trying to cut out saying the things like man up, and because we've all been raised to say, even in joke, when you're like, I was at the gym with my buddy the other day and he said something and I almost said something like, you know, grow a pair or something like that, you know. But you got, like, I'm trying to make a conscious effort to not say those kind of things anymore, because words do matter.
yep.
Yeah, and that's fair. And I still think that we look at our male groups, big and small. Like, I think of our golf tournament. So we have a fall Ryder Cup golf tournament too, and it's basically the same 20 guys as the spring. The chirping still needs to happen, but because the other stuff is happening, it actually makes it more fun.
Yeah.
Because you know that the other stuff has happened, and this, like, we're in a good place, and then, like, you're on the first tee and it's like, you should quit golf.
Yeah. Well, that's where, like, male relationships are weird, because it's like we're trying to change the culture by being vulnerable and let's talk about our feelings, but you really know that your relationship with another dude is good when you're able to tease somebody, or and it is funny,
Yeah.
right, and it is acceptable, and it's not like an inappropriate thing, but men bond in just different ways than women do, and a lot of the time it is like nudging a dude or giving him a tease, right? And I think that's super important.
And there's definitely a layer of trust that comes with it too. Like if you're in a group where you're with for like you've been together for a long time, and there's a layer of trust where if you are saying some stuff, right, and they still know that they can come to you if there's anything that they need, right?
Yeah.
And so
I think it's great to see again our golf group that there's multiple guys now, because it really started because of them opening up in what they felt was a comfortable and safe place, and then handed over to Logan, and Logan runs with it. And next weekend is our fall one, and we're up at Emma Lake. We change venues every year, and I guarantee you guys that one for sure, probably a couple guys, are going to step up and take the floor at this event.
Yep.
And that's what it's created, is this safe haven for these guys.
Safe haven.
Yeah.
So
I forgot to mention, because of the running, Dylan, that and I know that you're a big runner, in that last week, and I don't know how I forgot about this, but there's always so much going on. One of our key partners, Boss Plumbing. So
yes, I did that. I did that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
In January, Boss Plumbing sponsored our first Lunch and Learn, and Brad Sorosky spoke, and it was a trades industry theme. We're at the Holiday Inn downtown. They donated the room, and it was full, like standing room, like on the perimeter, and you could have heard a pin drop. And again, the emotion that, and there was some ladies there, because ladies work in the trades industry and they should be there, and they should be comfortable to be there. And it was absolutely amazing. So Boss Plumbing, again, amazing community involvement. And then they come to me and say, hey, we're doing our charity walk run again, and we want to make Love My Mind the beneficiary. I said, cool, what's it look like? What these guys do is they bring on 3 local businesses, and I'll say them: Robinson Supply, Cook Insurance, and Uyghurs Financial. And we've done work with Uyghurs. They're amazing.
They're very involved in the mental health community.
And you just have to get off your ass, go walk or run, because now with the watches, then you log your.
I feel like you're like looking in the depths of my soul right now and telling me I need to get up off my ass.
You post a picture and your kilometers walked, and then they have a grid. So basically, you move, they donate, and then the 3 other companies match the donation.
Yep.
So next week we're doing a check presentation for $4,000, and it's just like, hey, this weekend, at any point, get up, walk or run, document it, tag us, and we'll donate on your behalf.
Yep.
I'm like, this is brilliant.
It was like what I liked about when I saw it, it was so simple.
Yeah.
Right? Like you just go do it between these 2 days. Just go do it, walk, run. We don't care if you do this many kilometers. We're going to donate this. Just post what you did. That's it. Tag us in it. Whatever. It was so simple. And effective.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
so they had their best one out of, this was their 3rd, 4th one. They had their best one, and it was just, again, amazing to be a part of, and that we get thought of, and again, now we turn around and we have a huge youth symposium in Melfort at the end of October that Youth Matter Canada puts on. 700 kids. So what we do is we donate all the swag to these kids. So these kids have stuff to wear and take home and so forth. And it's just the reciprocation and the community coming together is probably my most favorite thing right now.
I don't know about you guys, but when I've listened to this guy talk, it's like, that's where I want this to be. You know what I mean? I like that's our future. That's kind of where I'm dreaming where that will get to with this project.
We'll see what happens with this project, but we're just baby podcast right now.
Yeah.
We're still infants.
Mix and matching the mics, and
But it's like you guys have done. I've watched all your podcasts, and everyone's different. the narrative is different, the emotion is different, and the setting is different, but it's going to be the same thing that I had the conversation with the Evolve girls. We're going to have this conversation a year from now, and it's going to be a totally different story.
Yep.
For the better. And we will continue to, Love My Mind would love to continue to partner with you and collaborate with you, whatever that looks like, and get there, whether it's like bringing on sponsors and partners and doing different locations, whatever. Yep. And it's just, again, it's just wonderful what's
Yep.
going on.
And we look forward to it. We appreciate that. Like talking to somebody like you with your experience and everything, it means the world to us.
Yeah.
And that being said, with all your experience, what you've gone through, what you've seen, what you've supported, what would you say to somebody right off the street? They say, hey, Darren, I'm going through a quiet fight right now. What should I do? What would you say to them?
Well, again, that's such a big question and a big situation. It has happened to me. It does happen to me. And now we talk about that person reaching out to me is a huge accountability factor. So step one, you reached out. Step two is now, a lot of the times I've found is that that person just wants someone to listen. They need an ear. Now, based on what we do, so obviously I'm a little different because now I'm listening, but also thinking like, what's the next step that we can provide for this person? And it's interesting because one of our major partners for the men's network, his good friend's son has been a part of it, and he told his dad, he goes, this men's network has saved my life. So of course dad tells my guy, and my guy tells me, and I'm like, all right, we need to keep this going. How much money do you need? And I'm like, and that's basically what it is we need to be able to connect and have these conversations. And yes, it's okay not to be okay, but it's also now important to deal with your trauma, reach out, get connected with us or anyone, and we can put you in front of the right person. I've had friends from high school connect with me and like, I'm drinking too much. I lost my job. I don't know if if I'm needed here anymore. Like they're on that ledge, so to speak. Yeah. And I'm like, we need to get through this together. And so even in certain situations, I've met with him and the person I'm going to bring in from a comfort standpoint. And not every scenario is perfect, but I'll tell you what, it's a very high success rate of that person continuing on with that counselor that I've put them in front of and getting back into a healthy space. Does it happen overnight? Absolutely not. Are you going to have hiccups? Absolutely. But I give a lot of men in this case and women credit that they are taking those necessary steps and they're being accountable for their mental health.
Yeah. I think that's a really unique thing that you're doing, actually, is pairing people up.
Yeah.
Because, you and I talked about this quite a bit, where it's hard to find someone that you click with. And one of the reasons why I stopped going to counseling so I ran away from home when I was 16, and the person I ran to, she made me go to counseling. And the counselor that I saw and what we had to talk about was my childhood trauma, which the most of it was sexual abuse. And so I'm 16 years old. I'm talking to this counselor who was a female counselor who I was actually attracted to, and having to talk to this counselor about my childhood trauma was just weird. And it just kind of like it turned me off on this whole talking to people thing, right? And so I just didn't talk to a professional for years until I remember I told you the story about my buddy making me go talk to someone, and him and I clicked, and I've been seeing him ever since 2016. And I know you and I talked about it's hard to find someone you click with, and it's a little discouraging at first. So to have that where, you know, you kind of, you know the person and you're like, look, I think you'll fit with this person, you know, that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember days after it happened, and again, in our community, it doesn't take long for especially bad things to get out in the community. I was in Sobeys, and I saw a good friend of mine who's with the fire department, known him since the Pat days, and he sees me, and he comes right through like this grocery store, and gives me this big hug. Ironically enough, there's about 15 women watching this, and we hug, and then we have this conversation. There's tears and everything, and then we actually had women, about 3 or 4, come up and to say, I don't know what's going on, and I hope you guys are okay, but good for you. And I'm like, good for us for what? And then I thought about, like, yeah, this shit's not supposed to happen in a public place. 2 dudes hugging it out in 2019, 2018, or any time. And that's the thing that women are looking for, is like, oh, I hope my guys in my life can start connecting and having these conversations. Because that, as we all know, is a big issue. And it has been a big issue.
Yep.
So there's a lot of good things happening.
Well, like you said, which gave me tingles when you said it, and that men are ready to talk.
Yeah.
Right?
We are. We just did.
We just did.
We did, yeah.
We talked about all of it.
Yeah. So I appreciate you guys, and I'm so glad that I met and I've been able to speak with all 3 of you, and I hope that continues. And like I said, we would love to do more work with you guys.
For sure.
Yeah, we're super excited about it. Do you have any questions for us?
I've had questions, but as I speak to you, the questions are getting answered organically, which is great.
Yeah.
I think that's happening.
Yeah.
Hey, we probably had a list of questions just in case. It's like, hey,
You show
check,
me.
check.
He's put down the iPad. He goes, Darren, he's answering all this shit. He knows what he's doing.
Well, that's the thing, is like when you, the first thing you said when we came on was how authentic this is, because it's not scripted. We're just talking.
Yeah.
Well, it's true. Like, we had questions just in case, because we want to hear your entire story, and it always happens this way. It's like, okay, well, we talked about everything.
Yeah.
Well, just 4 real dudes that have been through real stuff. That are just talking about real things, you know?
Well, you want to talk about how authentic this is? How about me trying to hook up 4 mics for 20 minutes prior to this starting? You know what I mean? Like, this is
we need
real.
a sponsor to help us with that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's and I just it can't be scripted.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And again, like Krista teases me all the time. She goes, "Are you gonna write down any notes?" And I'm like, "No." I look at the audience, and I remember one of my first speaking engagements was in front of 100 corporate women. I just about shit my pants, and I'm like, how do I even start this off? And again, these women were so emotional that they saw a man stand in front of them, and they were actually physically leaving the room. And I'm like, oh shit, what did I say wrong? Like, I was worried that I'm like, this is a bust. And then I finished, they came back, they came in near the end, and then were coming up to me and hugging me because my story was so emotional that they could relate to their man in their life, and they just couldn't listen anymore, because it's like, that one was a big one, because I didn't realize how much struggle was going on out there, and how much it's affecting the women in these men's life, and but now it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
So again, it's community, connection, conversation.
Yep.
Those are kind of my 3 words that I use in all my days.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah. Final questions?
No questions from me.
My final question is, where can people find you? Where can people find Love My Mind?
Yeah, like Instagram's probably the biggest platform, which we have about 3 or 4 people that post on there. And so that's at Love My Mind YXE, and then the website's like the portal. Like, it has all our counselors, all our subsidiaries. You can we have swag on there with our collaboration, so that's lovemymind.ca. You can donate on there, and then of course you can connect with us. The most important thing is on there if you or someone you love is struggling.
Yep.
So, and then the process, as we talked about today, is actually quite easy, where 7 years ago it wasn't easy at all.
Yeah.
So a lot of good things have happened.
Yep.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, thank you again for
Thanks,
for
gents.
coming
Yeah,
on.
thanks for coming on, being vulnerable. I couldn't tell because your glasses are on,
Yeah.
but I know like there was several
glasses are
times
on.
all of our eyes were tearing
Yeah.
up here. So
Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Smart one over there.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So-
we're very thankful for having you and very excited about the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you to everybody who's been listening, watching. Make sure you like, follow, comment. Give us an email if you have any suggestions or want to be on the show. And don't stay silent. Thank you.
Thank you.